Giggle is a mobile streaming service that lets you bring the gig to your home. It is also a mean of promotion for up-and-coming artists in the Cheltenham area, though I hope for this to expand. Giggle is an online venue which cuts out the travelling and cost of going to a live gig and helps an audience discover emerging talent at the ease of their fingertips. I am the managing director of Giggle and everything else too, as this has been a solo project. There can be an anxiety for musicians when it comes to performing in a venue to a live audience, but they still want to be able to show their material and talent to the world. There can also be a difficulty for these low-profile musicians to be able to get an audience along to their gig if people aren't sure whether it will be worth it. This involves the possibility of paying for transport, entry and using physical effort. Facebook live streaming is a way of something being broadcasted at the present time, but it's very accessible to all people. I chose Facebook to be the platform as Facebook Live is the most popular streaming platform, as it has a full range of reactions and provides the most analytics to its publishers. Jan Zimmerman said, "You don't need fancy equipment or a crew to follow you around. Live streaming is now as simple as using a smartphone and a Facebook app." The idea was that Giggle would gain a following and therefore have a ready-made audience for the artists that perform. This allows them not to worry about who will turn up and gives them the novelty of performing in a setting of their choice, for example a living room, bedroom or in a park. They can communicate with the online audience as much as they like, although the more communication, the more engagement. It is also a means of promotion for the artist, as Giggle notifies people through their Facebook page of the artist due to be performing, uploads the streamed video for everyone to see, and posts a follow-up thank you post suggesting that people check out the artist's page and music. There is also the option for an artist to have a promotional video made by Giggle, with footage and audio made from the day of the live stream. This is another way Giggle can help them promote themselves. Giggle live streams also mean that people can watch the videos later in the day as a catch-up. This is paralleled in TV live streaming platforms, as you can see here in these statistics. You can see that on the most part, the catch-up viewings are far greater than when the programme was streamed. Because the internet is so accessible to people, there's no time constraints when it comes to being able to view something. So although it's always good to get engagement at the time of the live stream, there isn't the worry that people will miss it altogether, because it's so easy to be able to watch the video at a later date. Nick Lukes, 2017, said, "To build trust and engage a growing social community, you need to post relevant content consistently. Engaged customers are 38% more likely to recommend your brand to others." Lots of startup companies use social media to gain a following and become well known. Decision making. Calabrese and Cepeda, 1999, suggest that a good decision maker rarely makes a wrong decision, because good decision makers keep an eye on the present and also the future. I think consistency is really important, especially when starting up a company. When it comes to timings, if I was to post Giggle live streams all over the place, the audience wouldn't know what was coming when. By keeping it consistent, people are ready to see a live stream each week at the same time, even if this is subconscious. It also adds to the professional aspect by showing that everything is organised. Posts were always similar in the tone of them being short and sweet, and as I was doing the posts every time, they stayed consistent. Here is my SWOT analysis for Giggle, and it was partly accurate. The strengths have been the live streaming, promotion and professional video. The opportunities have been the gap in the market and the networking. However, the weakness of having to connect to the internet and it being reliable haven't been an issue. The amount of views was only a slight issue on 2 of the videos. As for threats, I didn't charge people for professional videos at this point in time, but will be something for the future, and there haven't been any competitors in the market so far. Giggle's initial target market was inexperienced musicians that lack the confidence to perform. They may struggle to get themselves out there to create a following and are too nervous to perform at a venue in front of a live audience. However, this changed over the course of the weeks, which I will speak about later in the presentation. The audience for Giggle are music lovers who are interested in unplugged music. I made a survey on SurveyMonkey after 5 weeks of Giggle to find out what people thought and what they'd like to be different. To my surprise, more people shared the live stream with each other by talking about it rather than over social media. I was pleased to learn about this verbal communication. Almost 80% of people kept interest through the 20-minute video, which I think shows the success of engagement. When it came to asking about whether people thought the length of the live stream should be different, I received a variation of answers. 2 people would rather it be shortened to 10 minutes, which would only mean about 2 songs. 1 person would rather it was extended to 30 minutes, 2 people would rather it was extended to 40 minutes, and 4 people wanted it to stay the same. With such mixed results and almost 50% wanting it to stay the same, I decided not to make any changes with the possibility of extending the length of time in the future. 100% of people were satisfied with the amount of communication between the artist and them as an audience. This was great to see, as the whole idea is to keep the feel of the live gig and keep people engaged. Almost 90% of people say they'd be inclined to watch Giggle on a weekly basis due to it being on a consistent day and time. This proves that it was the right decision to be strict with timings and keep it consistent. Finally, 100% of people said they enjoyed the Giggle experience, so I couldn't have hoped for a better response with that question. I then asked the performers a separate question about their Giggle experience. Did you find performing for a Giggle livestream less or more nerve-wracking than performing to a physical audience in a venue? It got a 50-50 response, which I was a little surprised by. Some of them were comforted by the fact that it was in an environment they were relaxed in and that there wasn't an immediate physical audience. The others thought it was more nerve-wracking because it was in an intimate space, and so this was more about the fact that they were playing to close-up people, myself and housemates, rather than nerves about the livestream itself. Connell also added in his response that he thinks there's potential for live streaming to become a more mainstream way of gigging in the future. When I asked artists if their music pages had gained any more followings, the best response was from Connell, who sent me a screenshot of his Facebook analytics, which showed that his music page had gone up by 119 likes since his live stream and the promotional posts I did for him. Of course, not all of these will be due to Giggle, however it would have contributed to this. I think Giggle as a whole so far has been very successful. In the last 28 days, Giggle has had a post reach of 3,000 people and the engagement of 1,300 people, which is really positive to see. Whereas the initial idea of Giggle was to assist inexperienced musicians, this wasn't consistent in the sense that some of them were inexperienced, but some of them were experienced and used to gigging, though not necessarily as solo performers. This went hand in hand with the intention being that Giggle's following would help the artist, and sometimes this was the case, but other times it was one of the better known artists' following that helped Giggle get more exposure. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, as Giggle had to build up his following and wasn't going to have one immediately. I did come across some minor issues with Giggle. Joe Davies doing his live stream outside had two downfalls. The first was that I had to use my iPhone 7 for this rather than the iPad, as I had to use my 4G for the stream to go live. This meant that the quality wasn't as high as standard, and being out in the open meant there were various background noises throughout the video. The issue of this occasion was that some minors were coming over and asking questions and being rude, which meant that the live stream didn't start on time. I had to calmly ask them to leave us to it, and they were persistent for a while but eventually left us, and we were able to get on with it. Because of both of these things, I haven't done a live stream out in the open since, as for it to run smoothly as possible, it's better to do it when you're familiar with surroundings, and also when I'm able to connect to Wi-Fi and stream via the iPad. These things are all about trial and error, and I have learnt what's good or bad through the process. Another issue was after Jack Cooper's livestream, his views and engagements were half of the previous week. I tried to work out what the problem was here, and his was the only video I hadn't done a promotional post for beforehand, which goes to show how effective a simple post like that can be. I also think it was partly due to him not engaging with the audience as much, which also could have been an effect of myself not doing the promo post beforehand, as there weren't many comments on his video for him to respond to. When it came to sharing Chris, Me and Don Watton's promo videos, although the video looked very crisp when it was edited, uploading the video directly to Facebook affected the sound quality and the video had a blur. I tried to amend this by uploading the video to YouTube first and then attaching the link in a Facebook post, however it still wasn't as crisp as it previously had been. I had to bite the bullet and continue with the post as I didn't see a way around it and wanted the video to go up on Giggle and be given to the artist before it was time to do the next week. Also, putting the video on YouTube may be something I need to rethink, as Giggle's YouTube page is brand new and only has 2 subscribers. Also, because the YouTube video is attached to a Facebook post, you have to click on the link which takes you to a separate page, and I think people that feel like this is more inconvenient than having the video right there on the Facebook page. This meant that views have been a minimum so far, both only reaching 32 and 20 views at the time of writing this. As I was doing this as a solo project, all responsibility for Giggle was on me. I had to make the logo, contact artists, organise place and timings, make sure they were happy with where they were performing and what was involved, use my own house for most of the live streams, promote Giggle and the artist, do continuous social media updates, take footage of the promo videos and edit the promo videos. Although working on my own became stressful at times as there was no one else to rely on or to take part of the responsibility, I thoroughly enjoyed being in complete control of this project. I was able to do things in exactly the way I wanted to do it, and not rely on someone else to get their side of the job done. Giggle has strengthened my communicative skills and put me out of my comfort zone at times by being put in fairly intimate situations with the artists that I didn't know very well. It has also dramatically strengthened my organisational skills, which were next to nothing before. By having to do such regular posts on social media, it was always on my mind about whether I needed to do the next post yet or contact the next artist, and I was always checking views and notifications about videos. Not to mention, working on my own for such a big project that others were in groups for has gained me a lot of confidence, and I've been able to show myself and others that I can achieve something well by myself and not crumble when something gets difficult.